Well, I hope you can hear me, and I hope you're not getting an echo. I've installed a new camera, so what I'm doing at the present time, I'm using my cell phone and a webcam just to get a better picture of the layout. So I'm running a 4F, that's an Airfix model with a couple of fish vans or banana vans, and the Class 35 is pulling a rake of Lima baggage vans. So I'm broadcasting from Toronto. I'm not sure where. There's 2 viewers there right now. No idea where you are. But I hope all's well and the weather's good wherever you are. Sitting in the station is the Royal Train, and behind the Royal Train is a rake of West Highland Railway carriages run by ScotRail, pulled by a Black 5. Oh, hi Paul, from Nottingham. John Chambers lives in Nottingham, and I hope you saw my post about him still being alive, contrary to the news that was going out on social media. I spoke with John a couple of times in the last week because I purchased a new wheel set for my EM2 from John. So he is alive and well and living in Nottingham. Small world. Could you let me know if you hear me okay, Paul? It's always difficult to tell if people can hear you. I'm just kind of guessing. I get a notice that, yeah, there are people on watching, but it doesn't say if they can hear. Yeah, I'm still trying to work out this echo business. So I've muted the one camera. Can you let me know if that's better? Out and about in Northern Ireland. Well, welcome to Partick Hill Station, loosely based on a station in the West End of Glasgow. You might have been there. Could you let me know about the echo now, because I've muted the one camera and I'm assuming that might take care of it. And how's the weather in Northern Ireland and in Nottingham? Liam Snow. Hey Liam, I think you've been on here before. So how's the audio now? It's a case of turning one on and turning one off. My mic is muted on my my laptop. Now I've just turned the mic up in the one in my cell phone, so I'm not sure if that's helped. Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah, I received some photographs from family in Glasgow in Partick, and the sky was absolutely on fire. It was spectacular. So it's probably the same in Northern Ireland. Well, it's always, as I said, it's always difficult trying to get this balanced. You know, and now I know it's the. Well, there's Alan Reynolds. Alan in the loft. Are you slogging away wiring there, Alan? Pulling your wires, as they would say. What are you working on now? Guys, if you haven't seen Alan in the loft, you should check him out, because he's building this enormous layout, and he's got wires all over the place, but what a fabulous job he's done. And he's always got something interesting going. So Alan in the loft down there in Dover. So it must be, it's about 10:30 in Northern Ireland. Is the sun still out? I can't remember when it is that the sun stays up for that length of time. No, I'm having a beer at Mum's. Oh, thanks for the shout out, mate. Okay, Alan, no problem. Cheers, mate. Have one for me. And I'll look forward to seeing you later tonight or early tomorrow. I have a friend I have a friend who lives in Nottingham, or just outside Nottingham. It's got a kind of a French name. Can't recall where it is. I'm going to try and get this Black 5 and West Highland Railway coaches out. A beautiful sunset in Northern Ireland there, I'm sure. All right, I've got manual points here. So I have to move around a little bit, and that's a benefit of what is it a benefit of? When I built the layout, I really didn't know what I was doing. That's the first thing. So I struggled, as I'm not a carpenter, I'm not an electrician. And I got the tables up, and then I used Homosort for the top. And I had one track running around. And if you look back on my YouTube page, you'll see I had this one track that just sort of ran the train around and around. And gradually, with the help of an old friend who's since passed away, no, Alan, no, I'm not in Scotland. I'm actually in Toronto, and I've been here for many years. So an old friend of mine who was from Cleethorpes in England, we worked together in a consulting engineering company, and he built this massive layout at a cottage he had. It was 20 by 30 feet. And he kind of inspired me to do this one and helped me through the process. So now I've got an up and a down line and some sidings. But I have to be careful that I don't get the trains running just too quick, because sometimes I'll stumble across some of the points and derail. Anyway, I'm going to have a go at trying to get this Black 5 going. So the story with the Black 5 and the West Highland Railway coaches was, somebody told me that a guy was selling a lot of his layout, a lot of his collection, and among his collection were those Lima Mark I coaches that he had sprayed, add little passengers to, and did an absolute fantastic job. So I got in there really quick, and I think I might have got them for $100. There were 6 of them. I think I paid $100 or just over $100. And mind you, that was 15 years ago or something like that. And so I had collected a lot of trains, but didn't have a layout until eventually I started building the layout. And now the trouble is, I've probably got too many for this size of layout. It is approximately 9 by 9. And the tables at the sides are about 2'6" wide, and the ends are about 3 feet or more. So it gives me nice big long curves, and yeah, that works out just fine. just going to try and get something else out here. I've got this little British Airways hug going around. And let's see if you can see it. Yeah, there. So that I got that from the Hornby Club. And I got another nice little diesel as well. But the little tender that's on the back, I took an old battered wagon and chopped it up a bit. And let me see if I can stop it here so that you can see it. Yeah, so the wagon, I chopped it up, rebuilt the sides, and painted it. And that added some coal in a little bicycle, and so it acts as a little tender. And I had seen it somewhere in a magazine, I can't remember, but I was quite happy with the way it turns out. And that little hug runs great. Paul, you're asking about train fares. Well, I'm a member of the Platelayers Club, just a sort of not a loosely based organisation, but an organisation that meets now regularly on Zoom calls, and they run a show. It was every 2 years, the Great British Train Show in Brampton, which is just west of Toronto, just like another suburb, basically. And there's a number of layouts come in, from Montreal, Ottawa, Cambridge, different cities around Ontario, and they have their own booth where members can sell stuff, and there's dealers there as well. But unfortunately, with COVID in the last couple of years, it's not happened. But I was in a Zoom call on Sunday, and they mentioned that we should start thinking about doing one September or October, and doing some preliminary plans for it. And they hold it in an ice rink, a covered ice rink. And, the ice is, in the summer, there's no ice there. So they put boards down, and it's ideal for that type of show, for a setup. And it's normally quite well attended. And, there's a number of things I'm thinking about selling, and probably, that might be a good place for me to do so, because eBay, I don't know if you've noticed eBay, but eBay I think they're forcing sellers to apply additional fees because of the growing fad of pinching parcels from people's doorsteps, and the sellers were getting left empty-handed. So I think what they've done is they've said, okay, you've got to have it insured or signed for and tracked, and basically this is what the cost is going to be. So for somebody like me that maybe wants to get some parts, because I've got lots of Triang stuff here and I need parts for them, it can be very expensive. Something that might cost £1, they might charge me £9 to send it. So it's getting a bit ridiculous now. So I have a Coronation Scot here with 9 coaches, and it's a pretty long train for this layout. I'm stretching it with the West Highland Railway because it's only 6, but 9 it's just a bit too long. So I was thinking of selling that, and I have a Caledonian Railways single, which I might pull out, and I've got the matching coaches for that. I think I'll get 5. I'm missing a couple off of one of the coaches. So I'm going to try and bring that out right now as we speak. So just bear with me. The problem with the single is it gets hung up pretty badly on these Pico points, but we'll give it a go. It's actually a beautiful engine, but not suited for Pico points. I'm not quite sure what to do about it, and as I say, that might be something else that I would consider. Yes, it's already acting up. We're doing our best here. Plus, I think it's got magnesium, and I don't think that helps it. So there you go. There's the Caledonian Railways with the single. It's a beautiful set. Interestingly enough, some of the coaches have a slightly different colouring. Some have the cream roofs or a white roof. Now the cream roofs might just be because of time, and then others have a grey roof. Just depends on the number, the arm number. I should pull out my Triang books and see what it says about that. Yeah, it sticks on this one particular. That magnesium just jams it right up. These locomotives, they're ideal for big long layouts where they can run freely. But if you get them at a reasonable speed, you'll be able to make it through the points, at least some of them. Just got away from me there for a second. this one. It's terrible. And Paul, there's also a sort of North American type model railway show goes around different places in Toronto, and they're always interesting to go and see because they're quite different, as you can imagine. Well, I came to Canada basically when the shipyards were being closed in Glasgow, and I was a draftsman, so I got a job here and worked in a shipyard in Ontario for a couple of years, and then I left there, worked in Babcock and Wilcox, and eventually ended up in consultant engineering for a Canadian-based company that did global work for mineral mining processing facilities. And I was quite lucky because I got to go to South Africa a couple of times. And I've worked in our offices in Tampa, Florida, Vancouver, St. John's, Newfoundland, Winnipeg, and yeah, interesting career. But there was a downward turn again with the mineral mining processing industry, and so the big clients started to cut back on projects. And I was at I was at the age, along with a few others, that were offered early retirement. So I agreed, and that was 5 years ago. So the single is kind of struggling. I'm going to pull out the Coronation Scot because anytime I've done that, most people like it. So let's see if we can get it to run around here. Okay. Right. Let's see if it will get this out. just need to give me a second to get these out. All you need is one bad coach set of wheels and it throws everything off. Alright. And I have quite a few A4s, and you know, the one, they've got Ringfield motors, and I find them very problematic. And I've got a couple under the table that I can't bring out because the howl like banshees are just awful. And you know, I've tried cleaning them, done my best to no avail. I don't know if you saw some of my earlier videos where I've got these plastic boxes under the table to store locomotives and coaches. And here you get these 12 by 12 plastic cases, and they can store 7 or 8 locals, no problem. And what I did was, as a result of my friend passing away, and his wife's dealing with the situation of what he should do with the collection that he's got, which is quite large, and everything was DC. You know, I'd said to him one day when I was visiting, "Oh, I hope you've got this catalogue," and I'm sure he told me, "Yes, I do." And so I spoke to his wife and conveyed that to her. But I suspect it's on his computer somewhere. He was a very well organised guy. He was a process engineer and like very clean mind. He knew exactly what he was doing, very pragmatic. And I'm sure there's a catalogue of his collection there. So I made this little video on that very topic. You know, get all your locals out, get them organised into these plastic boxes. Put a green sticker on it if it's working, put a number on it, and put that corresponding information into your a spreadsheet. Now, the spreadsheet, once completed, should be placed in the box. No point leaving a memory stick, because some poor lady or family have no idea what they're for. Well, there's Donegal, Dad. Hi, Mark. Good to see you. I heard you had a nice sunset over there. And I managed to get the 2 cameras set up, Mark, and with the assistance of some of the guys watching in. I've managed to solve the echo problem. So anyway, back to the collection. It's very important that you do that, because let's be honest, you could have a lot of money tied up in your collection, and you want to avoid the sort of step-toeing son knocking at the door and offering the good wife, you know, £500 for the lot. So people have to know what you've got and what it's worth. So I'm going through mine and trying to put a price down against each. So I also did a couple of scratch builds now. That there is made out of plastic card, and the solid rounds, they are made from evergreen scale models, evergreen scale models. And I bashed it up, painted it up, and then I threw in pieces of rail, old wheel sets, tin foil, and wood shavings, and then painted it up to look like a scrap container. And I'm building a little scrap corner at the far end there. So that was a nice little exercise. And then I built this. Now, that may be familiar to a lot of you. That is an Anderson shelter. There's every possibility there's some of them still in somebody's backyard in England. And I made it out of tinfoil. I made those corrugations myself. I've got a little tool to do that. And I set it in there, and then I put the flock and the bush around it, or a tree. And talking about trees, you see that tree there? Well, I made that tree, and I'll show you how I made it. So I have these in the garden, lots of them, and through the winter they just dry out. So I'd pick them, bring them inside, and spray them with hairspray or glue. And then I'd start to drop flock on it. Now, I put lots on these ones, but probably a bit less would look more realistic. And then the other thing is, I need to thicken this up a bit, because that is a little bit unrealistic. So I can use putty, clay, or even insulating tape, something like that. And then you've got a whole forest for literally nothing. And being Scottish, I like that kind of stuff. Nothing. Get stuff from nothing. Now, there's another little project I did. Just made out of cardboard now. That cardboard, you can get it from the back of pool scaps. The only problem is it tends to warp a little bit, so be careful with the adhesive that you choose. Don't use an adhesive that's got a lot of water in it, because you didn't see, Mark, you didn't see the sunset because you were in the train shed. Oh, well, that's a good place to be. There'll always be another sunset. And the roof tiles were from 3DK or scale scenes, or and I painted it up. So that can be the station master's house or something like that. Nice little addition. Now, that's my concrete wall, or part of it. Might build a whole length of this. And what I did with that was I removed the top paper sheet off one side, and then I got grey acrylic and quickly painted over the top of that, and I scored some lines in it to look like structural seams, and I dug a hole there and I put a little bit of wire in it, and then I darkened up some areas, put a bit of glue on it, and added flock, and now you've got a concrete wall for the price of $1.50 or whatever it is at the dollar store for a 20 by 30 sheet of foam core. So, I mean, that looks pretty good back there. Now, in Glasgow, if any of you have been there, the Queen Street station, of course, it's a dead end station, and trains have to enter or leave via the tunnel to get out onto the main line. And they've got large stone walls there, and I thought there might be soot covered sandstone. Wasn't really sure, but I took a piece of pink foam, and then what I did was I drew on with a pencil the outline for stonework, or bricks, stonework it is in this case, and then I took the soldering iron and just went over those lines and opened them up a little bit, and then I went about painting it, gave it a light grey and then some black over the top and a little bit of off-white in between for mortar. And once again, you could have a whole wall of that in your layout. So my modelling adventures continued, and I built these two spans, and I made it out of mat board, which was quite difficult to cut, but I pulled out some of my old draftsman tools, and I had a set of trammels that I made an arc with, suitable for that span, and then cut it out. And I've made a series of videos about this, but this was all based on Tony Northeastern. He built a not dissimilar bridge, and I thought, oh, I can do that. So then I went and painted it and rusted it up, as you can see. So at the other end of the layout, and I'll just let you see what's happening there. So I've got an elevated area that goes around three sides, and I might build a series of bridges across here to link up again. I'm not really sure, but that was the whole idea of building the bridge. And see, there's a nice little tree there. That would look good anywhere. And if you take take a little figure, it looks okay. Now this here is the Lima Shunter, and it runs great. So what I did was I had two of them. Actually, here's the other one here. So I bought these two, and I thought, well, I'll paint them up. And I did it with this one. I scraped off the original paint, put a new base of grey on it, and then painted it black. Now, I might go over it and put in some silver there for wear and around the cabinets and the railing and the grille, and it might look even better. And it runs great. It runs better than a lot of other stuff. Now, in the corner there, you can see those blue circle cement tanks. So I bought a bunch of them. They're not in great shape, but they look well used, and they've got a rather strange looking coupling. I'll show you in a minute. But I thought they needed some kind of works. I'll just lift it up a minute so you can see it. So I scratch built this. That's a cardboard tube, and the building itself is made from that same card that I showed you. And then I've got painted or rusted a mixture of papers on there from scale scenes or one of these. So it turned out quite nice, and maybe I'll find a spot for it somewhere. Now, when we were back in Scotland, well, a number of years ago this was, we were up towards Elgin, and driving through the country, and came across this little church. So took a couple of photographs, and I was given time to do a sketch. And when I get back here, I built this, and I painted the little windows, stained glass windows, on the clear plastic packaging, and that turned out quite good. I may end up putting an LED inside, I'm not sure yet, but if you notice how I finished it, well, check this out. Do you have a budgie? A lot of people have budgies, I know that. So the budgie had to do without its gravel. In this particular case, I don't have a budgie, but I used the gravel for the wall. I just covered the wall in glue, and then I sprinkled the gravel over it. Turned out fabulous. Now, I was born in a tenement building, not dissimilar to this, with a bombed out end, or maybe that was caused by a fire. So all I have to do with this now is put the roof on, and I've already got that cut out, ready to go. and I've got the other two sides, but it looks quite real, and I wasn't really sure how I should finish it. I did this with chalk powder. So if you're doing weathering, you can, if you've got an interest in art and you have pastel chalk, or your kids have got it, steal it and shave it up so that you get powders. And that's how I got this effect of the sort of burnt out gable end. So once again, this is made from cardboard from foolscap, and then plastic card for the window frames, and just pieces of coloured paper for blinds. And here's another little thing. So if you were like me into Airfix kits, I'd seen this years ago in Model Railway, or one of these magazines, and they had taken a Carabelle car carrier, chopped it up, and then took a Spitfire or a Hurricane, whatever one they used, and stuck it in there. So I used toilet paper to act as a canvas. I put glue on it, and then I painted it green. So it looks quite good. It could be part of a military train, or I sometimes run it with my Carabelle set. Now, another thing, Chams 123, John's Amazing Trains, did was he spotted that these don't run very well, they're pretty unstable, and the wheels are pretty bad. So he suggested putting a nut and a bolt in there and a washer and replacing the wheels. And what it does is it stops it rocking back and forth. So I did that, and I've got them running pretty well. And here's another piece of scratch building that I did. Could be a local workshop, factory, whatever. And it was made from foam core and that cardboard again. And then brick papers put on it, packaging used for the windows. I took some old packing, cardboard packing, and in them you can sometimes find this corrugated style cardboard. Well, I used that for the roof, and it worked out just fine. And plastic tubes for the drains. And then there's another low profile factory. I got this idea from Bluffers to Buffers because they had something similar, and I thought, oh, I can make that. That's when I discovered, to my horror, that the foam core would warp because I used the white glue, PVA. Too much water in it, so avoid that at all cases. But bought some hardwood and chopped up the piece and put it in. So that's a nice low profile factory building. You could build a number of those and tie them all together. So I'll give you a look at the Blue Circle tankers. They're pretty old and banged up, but they look the part. However, you know, the guy had removed the coupling and replaced it with this, so they're pretty awkward, to say the least. It takes you forever to get them attached, but makes up a nice little train. Now, I've got a few modern locomotives, and one of them is this Pandolino. But it stopped working one day. So I thought I'd drop this and see if I could see anything that wasn't really connected that well. And everything seemed okay. Then I found out that that's a sealed motor and you can't really access it. So I put it back on the track, turned the power on, and you can see that grey mark in there. A puff of smoke preceded that. So I hastily removed it from the track. And now I'm not really sure what I should do. And I'm going to pull one of these off. I'll see if I can get the EM2 out there. All right. Just bear with me for a second. Yeah, as I said, this is what happens when you're in the dark ages of manual points. a dull moment. Yeah, so the story with the EM2. The story with the EM2 is that I bought it a number of years ago at a model railway show. Or I got it on eBay when you could find bargains. And as I said, I didn't have a layout at the time. Eventually, when I built this one, I got it out and just couldn't get it to run. So John Chams 123 told me that that you could purchase new wheel sets and that would take care of the problem. So I eventually found John and bought these, and it's worked great, but what I found is that it's that spider copper pickup, and those are once again very delicate, and as John pointed out, it's all about pinching the copper pickups as you drop the wheel sets in, and it might be that those pickups are just not making complete continuous contact. So the camera's dropped off and I'm not really sure why, but these things happen. Unplug it. Okay, so while it's still there, if you have an old printer or one that doesn't work, don't throw it away. Take it apart and you will find lots of rollers like this. And they make for great loads. I'll just move this camera and show you. You see? Pretty cool what you can do. Not really sure what's going on with the other camera, but it's that camera. Anyway, I don't know if you can see the full screen here. New junction, oh, that's I'm flattered that you've taken the time to jump in. Welcome. Yeah, sorry, I didn't notice you there. You've probably been sitting there for a few minutes while I've been rambling on about what I've got. And I'll ramble on a little bit more because it's all interesting stuff. Chabs 123 what a resource that guy is. I'm not kidding. I started out with that clipper as a controller. And then, I started looking for something else. And I saw John had done this thing with an old Triang controller. Just like that one there. Now, if you watch John's channel and watch this, it's really interesting. He said, make sure they are before, I think it was 94. So that this one was manufactured 4894. And he said what you can do is you can do a few changes inside and it will enable you to run your old Triang trains at a low speed very smoothly. And he demonstrated that. So this is what's involved. The first thing you do is you take out a little heat shrink, a little brown thing that was sitting in there in those 3 holes, and find a heat shrink like this. You can get them in an old computer, an old radio, TV, anything like that. And then get one of these MOF sets. I think it's MOF set, a number 555. And you have to remove the heat shrink you had there and attach 3 wires onto the MOF set and then onto the heat shrink. And then what you have to do is cut the one track here. Yeah, cut the one track and put a jumper in. And then the same at the other end here. And I mean, I'm not a welder. Made a real dog's end of this, but it works. And I use this to demonstrate how it would work. I had a piece of track and I took this and I made that crawl the slowest I've ever seen it. It was amazing. So I know that everybody's jumped into DCC, but there's stuff you can do in DC. The trains that I'm running are powered by that. Now that was about $5 from China. And, you get speed and stop, forward, reverse. And then there's this, even smaller. But it only goes in one direction. But it just shows what is available now. And look at that heat shrink in comparison with that one. So there's lots of amazing things going on. If I could get something going on, I'd be quite happy. So Richard, what's new with you? How's your layout coming? Anything new to share? I guess everyone you've got DCC. Does anybody out there have DC? Or am I the only one? And, of course, Alan in the loft. He's a big DC guy. And Double O Bill up there in Scotland, he makes a habit of picking up cheap trains and supposed to be non-runners, and he gets them running. Oh, just had a calamity there. Well, things aren't going as smoothly as I'd hoped, but that's all part of it. You know, get the trains out there, get them running, deal with the problem. Sure, but it's that. Well, I had the EM2 pulling, I think, 5 of those Carabel car transporters. And I've also got a little Jinty that I bring out and have it pull them. And it looks like the original set that came out back in the 60s. So, Mark, what are you doing in the shed? Use shuttles on them to control movements. Yeah, I'll need to think about that. Not really sure what that means, but obviously means something. Yeah, we're out of lockdown here in the Toronto area. I'm actually about a 35-minute drive when there's no traffic directly north of downtown Toronto in a place called Richmond Hill. And we just got out of lockdown. Last Thursday, the wife and I went out for a walk around the area, and we walked out of this sort of development and out towards the main street, Yonge Street, and there was a Mexican restaurant there, so it was opened and we went in and had dinner there, and that's the first time we've done that in a year. And I said hello to Richard at Model Rail Scotland, took a photograph with him and posted it to him later. That was a big thrill. I met somebody famous in the model railway community. And I just missed Paul Chapman. I'd been chatting to him online. I was there, unfortunately, for my younger brother's funeral. And then he said he was at the SECC for Model Rail Scotland, and I went there on the Saturday. Great show. That's the first time I'd been there, because generally speaking, I wouldn't go to Glasgow in February. February, if you can make it, you go down south. But in this case, I was in Glasgow, and I went to the Model Rail show. Yeah, it's terrible with the lockdown. The problem is, and in the States, it's really, really bad. Like 500,000 people have died. But, you have to understand, they have enormous cities and lots of them. And, things like Independence Day and Thanksgiving, like, people travel everywhere to hook up with their family. And that's what happens. It just multiplies and multiplies. And you can't really blame one person for this. They were slow in the uptake, unfortunately. But they were very brash about it, thinking, well, I'm not going to get COVID. But many of them have. And our daughter and her boyfriend live in Los Angeles. They're in social media. And I tell them, like, do not go anywhere. Like, don't go to parties. Stay away from everybody else. Do whatever you have to do online. So, yeah, but who knows? I'm going to be able to get a haircut this week. And then hopefully everybody's playing by the rules and we can get back out, being able to do more things that we've done in the past before COVID. But we were hoping to do a bit of travelling through the winter, get away from here because, I know you get snow over there, but here it snows and snows and snows. And there's snow out there right now, and it's probably going to stay there until the end of March, maybe April. And it thaws, but then it snows again. But we're going through a very cold period, about -10 and about -17 with the wind chill factor. And I was in Winnipeg looking after a project. I was out there for 2 years, and it would go to -45 in the winter. It would I just can't describe it. And yeah, your nostrils would freeze and your eyelids would freeze. And, the office I was working in was downtown, and I was able to get to the office from the hotel through a series of tunnels. But yeah, it was just awful. Yeah, Mark, yeah. Did he autograph it? Now, I have a 3D printer, and this is what I was able to print. This is made out of the PLA. The ABS has got problems with fumes, etc. This one's broken a little bit, but they came out really well. So what I did was I downloaded the model, and then I went to the library because the library have printers and you can use them free. So I uploaded the file to the printer, and I told it to print me 9, and a couple of hours later it did. So there's one I painted up. It looks quite good. And I might put a little LED lamp on it and it look brand new. And the 3D printers, there's 2 different types. There's the resin type and then this PLA type. I think the resin type might be more suitable because you get a finer finish and a smoother finish, and you can have it print better detail. And you can get a printer for a couple of $100 thereabouts, a starter one. And you don't need to be a modeler. All you need to do is go onto YouTube and then download the file of your choice. And there's a little program called Cura, C-U-R-A. And what that does is it slices the model into very thin pieces and sends that data to the printer. Now you can either hook your printer up to your computer or you can use a memory card. And then in the case of the PLA style, you just heat up the plate and the head and then press print and it starts printing. It's that simple. Well, the EM2 has decided to go for a tea break. Whoop. See, that's what happens when you lose control. An easy fix. So the little shunter there, it doesn't. It has the old original wheels, and it still runs quite well. But if you wanted to replace the wheels, John has a few sets left, but at £27, I have a few that require wheel changes, and it might not be on my list at this point in time as a result. So we're back in business there. Okay, Mark, good evening, and we might see you tomorrow. I guess I should close down now because I've been on for a while. and it's very satisfying because I've been able to get trains running and cameras running for the most part, but it's given me some food for thought on how to make sure I've got a good connection for the camera. I'm using an iPhone 11 for what you see right now, and the other camera was brand new today. And it's one of these. It looks like something out of War of the Worlds. And I'm not quite sure why that's gone off. So the walls at the back of the station, I made them out usual way. I used that cardboard material, and it worked a little bit, but it looks okay for the moment. I might be able to do something else with it. So it's amazing the amount of stuff that you can pick up and utilize to get a layout going. I painted these little figures. Now they are the Airfix 1:72 scale. Now they're not exactly right, but if you place them on the platform, sort of on the other side, paint them up so that they don't really stand out that much. I painted these black and I've added a little bit of colour here and there, so it looks quite effective. And I'll probably remove the base and just put it on a piece of clear packaging. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little run this evening, and I'm trying to build up for this 24-hour model railway thing taking place now in April, and I want to get all these issues ironed out. I want to get the microphone working, which I think I've done now. I want to get cameras broadcasting without any problem, and trains running. I need to work on some points because they don't seem to be going that well. And some of these, they go off and then they go back again on their own, which is amazing. And those are the carriages with the new wheels. So that works. Anyway, I'll sign off now, and thanks very much all of you for dropping by, and we'll catch you again here at Partick Hill Station. Bye for now. Stay safe.